You know, when you find yourself in those positions where you're just doubting yourself, you're not truly expressing what you're feeling inside, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not really confident about this right now. We've all had those moments, and that's why today we're going to talk about learning to trust yourself. Now, notice we said learning. We're not just saying trust yourself like it's an easy, wave of a wand and everything is cool.
Right. None of us, it's not something that we're taught, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of us lack in that. And then we go right into the self-sabotaging everything because we don't trust what we want to do, how we want to say, what we want to say, and how we want to go about life. So we start to second guess everything. We look for reassurance elsewhere instead of within ourselves.
Right.
And that you start going down into this spiral thing that just sends you on a tailspin, and it just goes to shit pretty much.
It does. And learning to trust yourself is not about eliminating self doubt, because a lot of people think that and they're like, well, I'm just going to, I'm not going to think that way. I'm not going to think that way. And they try to think it away. Thinking it away, not going to work. What you want to do is you want to take your power back. You want to stand solid in your power that you have surrendered for all of those years to all of your fears. Let me say that again. It's the power that you have surrendered to your fears that you're reclaiming.
Right.
All right, so why does this happen to us? We all want to know. Why is it so hard to trust ourselves all the time?
I personally think it has to do with the experiences we have in life.
Absolutely.
Which, it could be something that we didn't quite understand, or failed, or somebody said something. It's something that's pretty much instilled in you and never taught to overcome it. So that's kind of the thing that comes to play when it comes to that. So
Because as a kid, you are taught to listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, listen to whatever religion that you're told that you are when you're small. You're told all these things. So you're ingrained with all these beliefs and these experiences that you didn't choose, and told how to act and behave. So you're not choosing and using your voice at that point. You're surrendering it to other people. So from a really small child and on up, you are taught how to surrender your power. So it is not natural for you to have confidence, unless you were lucky and you had like a parent who was confident. Like my mom was very confident a lot, so I mimicked that.
right.
Or it appeared to me, because when I grew up and got older, she shared some self-worth, and sometimes when she did doubt herself, and how she would muster herself up to walk in confidence. I mean, and to me as a kid, I was like, wow, okay, she's got her shit together. Like,
Right.
so it helped me have a pattern for trust in myself, from when I was smaller. But most people don't get lucky with that, or have that one teacher, or, they have all these things that are slowly chipping away at our self-confidence. And then we learn to chip away at our own self-confidence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our experiences are one thing, what we're told are another, and somewhere in between is what we need. When I think about not trusting myself, first of all, that gives me some weird feeling in my stomach, because I can't fathom not being able to trust myself. In again, because of the way I grew up, I needed that was like one of my survival skills, to trust my instincts, to trust what I was thinking, what I was feeling, how I was going to act. So it was like a must for me to trust everything that I was doing, saying, and acting. So, but I can see on how in a situation like that, or something different, where it can totally be taken away from you. Or you allow it to be taken away from you, I should say, because really, I don't think a lot of this stuff has to do with people trying to take things from us. It's more of us saying, okay, I believe in what you're saying, and I'm going to give my power away at that point. You know what I'm saying? So it's more of that. So when we are in a place where we can trust ourselves due to our survival, I think it's possible. You know, so how do we go about doing something like that? You know, I know that for me, it just came instinctually because I needed to do that. So when I see other people not trusting themselves or self-sabotaging their life or not having really good self-esteem, I wonder what's the dialogue? You know, what happened? Who said what to them to put them in that position?
Well, the good news in all this, though, is, as you can see, is each of our different experiences, we were each given different little building blocks for self-trust. So you, for survival, had to tap into your instincts. And I mean, and that's a big one with building trust for yourself. Do you listen to those instincts when you get that gut feeling? Are you going with it? Are you making decisions from that place? You learn that really early on. I learned really early on how to carry myself in trust and what that looked like and what that energy felt like to me. So I had a blueprint for it. Like, we each had different building blocks that then we did the work to build the rest on top of it.
Right, right.
So no matter what you've been through, there's some part of you, if it was instinctual, if it was a healthy pattern that was given to you, if it was experiences like, let me think of something. Like, I like to create and I like to lead. So I would instinctually want to be in a leadership role, which means you have to speak. But definitely afraid of public speaking.
Yeah.
Like, get sick, want to pee in my pants. No, I hated it. If I had to speak in front of a classroom, no. If there's an activity going on that I can just naturally start, working the room and getting things organized and getting people together, I can do that no problem without thinking about it. But if I have to actually, no, I'm going to do a presentation, or if I was going to be in a play or something and have to go up it, no effing way.
And here we are making videos.
Yeah.
Talking to a bunch of people.
Because I realized through the experience that if I was doing something that I loved and I believed in that came naturally to me, it wasn't scary. It lit up my soul.
Right.
And I don't know. It was so scary to me, those other things, because either I didn't care about it, I didn't believe in it, or it had nothing to do with me. It was just something that I was told, you have to go and stand up and, do an oral report on, how to tie your shoe. And I'm like, who the fuck cares about that? And I understand now, being older, that it was to build a skill. But I also understand that the big thing missing in our education is finding our passions and finding those things that really work for us so that we can put those into play to build the skills.
Right. I mean, in listening to you talk about, your fear of talking, is just like, when we started doing this, I was questioning, who the fuck wants to listen to me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of those thoughts go through my mind.
Self-doubts, yeah.
Who's going to listen to this girl, who came from the city, the projects, had a rough life and all this stuff, and now talking about mindset and all these things? Who the fuck's going to listen to me? I had that chatter going on. And at one point in my life, I realized, listen, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say because of the experiences I've had. And the most important part was that I wasn't alone. When I realized that I wasn't alone in this, it was the biggest shift for me. And but I had that imposter syndrome for a very long time, that, what the hell do I know? How am I going to teach somebody? How am I going to, enlighten or shift or whatever, But the more and more I got into life coaching, the more and more I realized shit about myself, which then helped me help others.
Right.
because it brought things of myself to the light, and that is how I work. I try to mirror back at people so that it can come forward for them, and then all this sabotaging, imposter syndrome, not trusting what I was thinking, saying, and doing went away, because I was really, really confident in that. Because I remember when we first started doing all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, nobody's gonna fucking want to listen to me. So yeah, I get it. It's an interesting place to be when you don't trust yourself. But one of the things that allows us to shift that is when, again, we get curious. That was one of the things when I was doing the research. That was one of the things that it says we give away our curiosity when we don't trust ourselves.
And if it feels unsafe to be yourself because you're not, it's because you're not used to it. You've been this, the mom, the whatever representative that you play, and not your true self, not sharing your true feelings. So if that doesn't feel safe to you, I would suggest doing some chakra work. Like start with your root chakra so you can look at what you learned from family and from society that you adopted as your own that doesn't jive with you, and then move up from your root chakra into your sacral chakra, which is your sense of yourself, where you're really taking a look at what your values are and what's important to you, and then going back and forth between those two energy centers to see where it's not matching up and where it's not aligning. Because a lot of time you're giving your sacral, your own self-power away by dropping down into that misaligned root chakra, because it's aligned with what everybody else thinks,
Right.
What everybody else is saying. All the noise out there that is constantly about separation, and blame and complaining. And it's insane, all the input that's coming at us all the damn time.
So how do you learn to trust yourself? There's so many different ways of how
there's
that
a
can
million
happen.
different ways. Yeah. So the chakra work is a good base starting point. Practice, because a lot of times another reason that why we fall back into the representative and not in our true self, why we're not trusting ourselves, is because we're afraid of other people judging us. And I had a similar thing with you where I was like, I'm from a middle class. I had a really nice upbringing in a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood. So people are going to be like, I'm from the streets. You don't know shit. Or, I'm from here. You're down here. You don't know that. Like, so we all, I think, get these imposter syndromes from wherever we're at because other people are constantly judging us. And you don't want to have to deal with that. So you want to protect yourself from it. So you kind of put yourself in this bubble.
Yeah.
Which is not allowing your true self out. So if you start leaning into things like, I don't really give a shit what other people think. Like, I care, but if they don't like who I am, then they're just not for me, or I'm not for them. And that's okay, because there are people for me. And if I'm not putting out the true me, I'm not going to find those people, and they're not going to find me. So I'm going to keep feeling alone. So how do you keep being like, okay, no, we're not jiving, fine, next, and yeah, okay, let's get to know each other and start being honest. Like when you meet new people, you have a fresh slate. They don't know you from Adam. So what does that even mean? I have to look that up. They don't know you from Adam. These phrases hang me up. This is what I'm talking about, the program crap that just comes out of your mouth. And this is me being aware that, like, I know conceptually what that means, but what's really behind that? This is where your curiosity starts breaking down stuff. So that was like a real live example of catching something that's just flying out of your mouth because it's what people say.
Right. And it just simple things like that to just kind of build and build and build, like the first part is self-esteem. You were touching on that. The more of a powerful self-esteem that you have, the better off you are. And that you're probably saying to yourself, okay, Wolf, well, how the fuck do I get rid of this, my self-esteem issues? Well, you're not going to get rid of it. You're going to shift it, which is something completely different. you know, and it's taking whatever that noise or dialogue that you're saying to yourself and put it in a more positive notion. You know, that's little by little. Every time you catch yourself saying something that isn't right, shift it, you know. And I know that you wholeheartedly want to believe in that, in whatever that negative thought is, but it's not true.
And sit with it for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Like, did that come from, oh, my dad used to say that to me. I mean, we had one person that we coached, and she was like, yeah, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid. And we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you really believe that about yourself? Yeah. And we went a few sessions, and then it was finally like, that's what my dad used to say to me when I was little. Whenever he was pissed off, whatever, he was like, you're fat, you're stupid, you're ugly. And so she heard it over and over again. So she adopted it as her own voice.
I want to give you a quick message before we get back to this episode. Unlock the secrets of your soul for free with Soul Notes. Say goodbye to feeling stuck and hello to the validation of your alignment. These weekly prompts are filled with reminders, gentle nudges, and sometimes a kick in the ass, all with love from your soul. Don't just take our word for it. Try Soul Notes for yourself and see the difference it can make in your life. Trust us, your soul and you will thank you. Just go to soulnote.org. That's SOULNOTE.org. Now back to our podcast.
And as soon as she recognized that where it came from, she could be like, no, Dad, I'm not. And she realized that when she wore like these certain shoes, she felt more confident. Or she put on her favorite shirt, she felt more confident. So she would start doing that if she was having those like low self-esteem days. She had little triggers to remind herself, because I'm wearing these shoes, I'm standing up a little taller, which is a sign of confidence. Like,
Right.
Look at things like how you carry your body. Are your shoulders back? Are they dropped? Do you look relaxed but still confident, or are you like kind of closed in, like you're protecting yourself, like you're unsure of yourself? I mean, these are all different little cues. So if you can find out like where things came from, or maybe like, I don't even know where that came from, but it's not for me. It's not me. Okay, that voice isn't me. Awesome. So now whenever you hear that, like, pause. We always talk about if there's a doubt that creeps in, negative self-talk, anything like that, you're not expressing your true voice, pause. Honor the feeling. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? A lot of times it's in your gut. Why? Because you're not following your gut instinct. Hey, green flag right there, that your gut instinct is telling you that that's not yours. That's not true to you. Like, so it's all connected.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of these things come from other people's shit.
Yep.
As you were explaining, I was thinking of something that put me in that position where, I'm not the most feminine person on the planet. That's just a fact. So I used to watch the times that I would interact with my dad, how he would look at me, because I had a certain way of dressing, because that's how I felt comfortable. And you can just see the disapproval look in his face. And I noticed at one point that I was taking that shit in. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, oh no. This, I like the way I look. I am comfortable how I dress. This is who I am. Whatever he's thinking, doing, feeling, that's on him. So, and that's when I put a quick stop to it, and I never noticed that until like maybe years down the line. But yeah, when I really, really took a look at, like, why is he looking at me like that? You know what I'm saying? Or my mom used to always say, why don't you wear dresses? Because I don't fucking like them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you're a kid, you can't say that. But as an adult, I got to see the looks on their faces. Sometimes it's not even a word, it's a fucking look. you know?
And honestly, that had nothing to do with her. It had to do with them being uncomfortable because they're afraid of other people judging them.
Right.
So that was their self-doubts that, like, where did I go wrong as a parent? Why can't I get her? La la. People are going to say this and do that, and at church and like all these things. It's their self-doubt. It's their negative self-talk in their head that's happening.
So don't own it.
Don't own it.
Don't own
it's their
any
own
of that.
shit that they need to work on and they need to settle within themselves.
Right.
So you're just adding, like when you're doing that, you're adding whatever stuff they took from their parents and their parents and their parents then onto your shoulders. And then we're all like, oh my God. Everything just feels so overwhelming and so much. Well, of course it does. You have 80 generations of shit piled into your being. Like, no, everybody, here's your flowers back, everyone. You know, do with it as you wish. I'm getting down to the core of me and what feels good to me and what works for me. And I will be as respectful as I can of all of you while respecting myself first. That's the key to all of this. You don't want to get lost in not having boundaries with your energy and not having boundaries with your thoughts. I mean, we talk about boundaries a lot and people are like, oh yeah, like yes, or saying no and that type of thing. And it is that, but it's also like energetic and mental boundaries. Like, no, I'm not taking Dad's disapproving looks in as mine.
Those unspoken cues.
Yeah.
That we consciously take in and subconsciously let it dwell. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you really, when you're super aware of yourself and who you are and what you're about, you get to see those things. You really, you have moments where it's like, what was that look? What was that comment? You know, you get to do that. And the more you catch it, the better off you'll be, because then you're building on your self-esteem. Mm-hmm. You're building on your trust. You're building on the fact that self-sabotage is not a fucking option anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you start to build little by little. Accept those fucking compliments. If somebody says you're looking great today, thank you.
Yes, please take that in, because that's the thing is we're collecting all the suffering and all the crap like it's some badge of honor. Mm-hmm. And then somebody just says something like your hair looks great today and you're like, oh yeah, well, yeah, you know, okay. And you try to deflect it.
This side didn't curl quite well.
Right?
It's like, no, just say thank you.
And then you're like, I'm a piece of shit. Why do I feel so bad today? Why do you feel so bad? Because you chose to collect the crap and deflect the good stuff. But you're saying you want the good stuff. Like, see how you're self-sabotaging yourself. Mm-hmm. You're choosing to suffer. It's just...
You got to build that confidence. That's one of the most important things. And there is this woman, I believe she's an actress, and I've seen this video a couple of times, and I absolutely fucking love it. She's asked, how are you doing? And she says, successful. I'm alive and I'm breathing. And I think that is the most awesome, because the way she, like she stood up tall, she was confident in that phrase. I mean, like, she owned it. It was just like, oh my God, that is awesome.
And she defined success as being alive and breathing.
Yeah. It's like, that's all. That's all she needs.
And everybody else is successful is, you know, fitting into mom and dad's box and hoping that they're proud and,
Yeah.
you know, being first at things and being better at work than other people, and it's always about trying to be better than others. It's all this comparative bullshit.
Yeah.
All you need to compare is if you are better than you were yesterday. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, that's okay, because maybe you're just digging deep into the crap, getting rid of it, or just recognizing it, or honoring what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, I have these dark parts of me. Okay, we all do. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is love and light all the time. Nobody is confident all the time. All those people that you think are confident constantly, mm-hmm. No, they're just pushing themselves into uncomfortable places more and more and more often. They're practicing so that they get used to holding themselves in self-trust and in confident more and more.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people do that to us. They're like, but you guys are you. Like,
Yeah.
look at you and all that. Look, I have fucking bad days. There are days that I just can't. I don't want to. It's too peoply. The energy is crazy, and I just can't. And the kindness part of me kind of takes a back seat, but I'm aware. That's where the difference is. That the minute I see that my core values about being kind and respectful are taking a back seat, that's when I pause. Again, being aware of who you are and what you're about. Because we're human. We make mistakes. We have issues, all kinds of things. And like Tara says, as they're there, that they can go away and shift, but they're there. And the more you give it light, the less dark it will be for you internally. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, we got issues. We know.
We all do. We all do. And
but
please
that's okay.
don't try to logic your way out of it, because this was mine. Because I'm a very logical person. And you're trying to, like, explain things away, work your way around them with your logic, like all this stuff. Logic will get you, like, you have a 50-50 shot of being okay with your trust for yourself that day. If you're going with your body and you're going with your intuition, you got like a 99.9% shot that you're going to hit it dead on.
Yeah.
Your body and your intuition they just function.
Mm-hmm.
They just function. Your logic is filled with your conditioning, your beliefs, your past experiences. So the more you decide to, okay, where is this hitting me? How does this feel? What is my gut telling me? The more you do that, the more your logic and your conditioning starts to shift. So the more your logic will be dead on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't realize, I'm like, my logic is like, I'm getting smarter every day because my logic is getting more and more dead on constantly. But it was because I was doing so much inner work and spiritual work, which taps into your intuition, which gets you to know and understand your body and what it's trying to tell you. That, of course, my logic was better because my conditioning was better. Mm-hmm. But trusting just your logic at the beginning, 50-50 shot. You're playing Russian roulette with your self-trust.
And for me, it was the opposite. Logic wasn't usually the thing that played its role. Whatever I felt, that's what I was paying attention to. Because again, that was how I protected myself. That was how I kept myself safe. Because people are going to say things they want to say. It's those unspoken things that are the ones that leave that effect. So I was always feeling and like really expressing myself physically, if you will, so that I can be okay, So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and the logic came for me later on, as far as like, okay, I can apply this to that. I can apply this logic to that. But my
because you weren't just living in survival mode anymore. Yeah. You had new conditioning because you had new environments and spaces that were safe for you.
Yeah, when I got out of the fight or flight energy, that's when I was able to apply logic to it. Because before it was just a matter of like, oh, this doesn't feel good, or this no, and I just bounce.
And this is why you talk to other people, and this is why you share with other people that might not be like you. Because she had another side of a coin and I had another side of the coin that we both needed to get that holistic picture of how to trust ourselves. Yeah. So the more you talk and interact, you can be like, oh, I never did that because I did this. And okay, so that's my missing piece. Right. Building my logic through positive conditioning because I'm practicing new beliefs and I'm practicing things that align with my values and with who I am.
And the fact that I jumped at things, and I failed a lot. Oh my God, did I fail a lot? But I didn't take that as a hit or diminish the value. You know,
The more you fail, the
mo-
more successful
oh
you
my
are.
God, the more you learn more and more about yourself. The more you fail. I mean, there is this fucking taboo about failure. We're all going to fail, and that's fucking okay.
That's
You
part of
know,
life.
it is part of life. If you see it as every failure is a stepping stone to growth. Period.
And to building your trust, because you're like, okay, cool. I had the balls, I had the trust in myself to try that. Even if it didn't work, I tried it. And now maybe I know why, or maybe I just know that's not the way to go. Cool. Now I can go do this instead. Like, this is how I approach this hard conversation with this person. This part went okay, this didn't. So next time I have a hard conversation, I know maybe not to insert that snarky comment because I started to get defensive. Or I know to not jump into complaining about somebody else. Or I know not to go into a shameful place when I'm trying to go into that type of conversation. I know that now. So cool. I'm reprogramming my conditioning. I am shifting my conditioning to trust myself more and more. You have to keep working until you get to the place where fear is not deciding for you anymore.
I like this phrase that says, "Come to the dance barefoot. Put on the shoes when they fit." Period.
Oh, wow. That's deep. I like that.
Yep.
I never heard that before. Okay.
Just came up with it. No.
Did you?
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I was hearing it.
Wow. Okay. That's a good. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
Yeah,
So we're focusing on what we desire instead of focusing on what we're afraid of. We are pausing when self-doubts come up. And then when we're pausing, we're noticing how we feel, what our thoughts are, what our body is saying, what our intuition is saying. And we are using self-compassion, consistently self-compassion all over this. And this isn't like, oh no, I need to stop feeling like this so I can keep moving on. No, we're going to be like, okay, this is tough for me right now. That's all right. We can do tough things. What do I need right now to help me get through this?
Yeah.
Like, those are the type of questions you need to start asking yourself. And then recenter yourself on the truth. Okay, I just said all that crap that, my whatever old teacher used to say to me, or my ex used to say to me, and the truth is over here. So this is my self-doubt. This is how I'm feeling about it. This is what my gut is telling me. I'm recognizing it's hard. I'm being kind to myself. What do I need? I need this. Okay, cool. Recenter on the truth. All right. I have that tiny bit of trust. I'm going with it. And then you'll build and you'll build and you'll build. And practice with other people, please. Find somebody that you really do trust and go tell them something about yourself that you never have told them before, or something you think about something, even if it's a show they don't watch. Like, I watched this show and they said this one line, like, write it down. And it made me think of this and feel that. Like, you can even write your thoughts down and then go share with the other person just to start getting used to it. And they'll be like, cool, you've never shared with me like that before. I heard something similar and it made me feel this. And it starts whole new conversations. So then again, that builds on your conditioning. So eventually you'll just be able to share more about yourself and more about your feelings, because now that's your new learned behavior.